I will, if you don't mind, stand behind the lectern here because my zip broke this morning, so I don't want to shock anybody. It's a good start, isn't it? Very interesting discussion that's just taken place, absolutely central to what KPMG have been through in terms of engagement. I could talk about an awful lot about Project Gold today, but I've selected a specific area which is about the engagement to create the office. And I've got 10 slides or so that I'll rapidly go through. Two statements first of all. Plagiarism is a horrible thing, and it's even worse when you take people's slides, bung them in yours, and then you see them in the audience. So I've already had a word with one of them, and the other's a colleague. So it's hopefully I'll get through by using some of my own slides as well. The other thing, bearing in mind we are a Worktech conference, I'm presuming, but I will ask because it links with my second slide and a point that I want to make. I presume there are no house builders in the audience. Put your hands up if there are. That's helpful to start off with. Or plumbers. I could do with a plumber. Any plumbers? No. Never mind, but I'll get through the first one. Right. 15 Canada Square, known to me for 5 years as Project Gold, and 1.5 stone in weight, actually, that I've put on. You may or may not know the building, orientated in Canary Wharf. It's between HSBC and Barclays Towers, adjoining Fitch. We moved in officially with effect from last Friday, actually, when the Queen opened the building, but we've been moving gradually from May when we took PC of the building, and we thought it was sensible and logical from an engagement perspective with our business occupiers that we took 3 or 4 months to move people in slowly. We had to churn an awful lot of our existing buildings. 400,000 square feet, over 14 floors altogether, and as far as we were concerned, engagement throughout the process with Canary Wharf and ISG, our fit-out contractors, as a team, and paid for in full by KPMG. Now, it's important to point out that KPMG have taken a very long leasehold. It's a virtual freehold here, and it does make a difference if a property was being occupied on a lease basis. I accept that with regard to the level of engagement. That said, there are some principles with regard to the process that we applied that I think would run true in any property. This, however, is a property that I completed on after 5 months, not 5 years, just last Friday. Paid for completely by me, developed by a house builder, complete lack of engagement, toilet and bathroom in the wrong places, difficulties with plumbing elsewhere. Should have had a survey. I'm a surveyor, should never do it yourself. The issue for me, and the theme, if you like, and the comment is a level of engagement with people who are going to be occupiers. It's amazing how little of that takes place even now, and indeed, as we've just heard with regard to the ITS, the IT, we call them ITS in KPMG, from the IT perspective, it's important to involve everybody in the process. In the good old days, you might get a head of property who would actually acquire a building without any involvement other than the high level, the seniority, the executive. That isn't right, that can't be right. The people who know about how the building is going to be used in all the different facets must be the people that need to be involved and engaged. So, where did we come from? Well, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even now, although the UK, I have to say, in my view and my experience, is doing extremely well. Generally, it was open plan of some form with then seniority having offices, and it's not a great deal of change. There is a couple of significance, which I'll come on to in a minute. But open plan we've been used to in different ways, but we wanted to change it right from the start. I mentioned 5 years that Project Gold has been going, so the inception started very early for us, and we engaged with all the right people. But we wanted to look at what had been done before. We had this in different places in our other buildings. There was a consolidation going on for KPMG, and it was important to us that we brought all the right things known at that time. It's an important point. We brought them together in our new building, the UK HQ. So what we did first of all in engaging with the business, we put a vision together, and with my colleagues, my peers here from the competitors, it won't be a surprise to them to see that we wanted to be the best. There's been mention in the IT about the, I think it was Michael, one of the presentations I just saw was with regard to the growth in population. That needs to be aligned with, in my view, the talent, because talent out there is difficult to get hold of, and we've got to try and find a differentiating factor. And we believe property was one of those, or a new HQ, and the investment that we were putting into it was important. So we wanted to get the vision right. With the vision, and actually Angela is here today from Swankeys, we then worked with them. We hadn't gone into a great deal of detail with the building at this stage, but we wanted to take the vision and work with a designer to come up with the areas that we thought were appropriate. You'll see collaboration in there, and I'll come on to that in a second. That was an important aspect, and we worked with them to actually identify, and with the executive and the business, what do we want out of this building? How's it going to work? IT is important. How's that going to operate in 4 or 5 years' time? Very difficult questions to answer. We also felt it was appropriate, as from a business perspective, to ensure that we'd engage with everybody else. 3 different parts as far as we were concerned. There's the business side. It's very important. They're paying at the end of the day as the partners, and indeed it's got to work for the business and the different aspects that the business need. KPMG works very closely with clients, and clients come to our building, so we need to have appropriate space that works for them. We need to have an external design team. KPMG don't have the specialists, so we need to bring in a design team, and we had to go through a process with them and use their skill base. And indeed, some of you guys in the audience today would have probably been involved and heard what we were doing, and we were engaged with those that we thought were appropriate at that time for this project. But also, and this is just a level of engagement where IT is very important, extremely central, but one of a number. We had an operational team, so the internal team. These are the people who are going to run the building. You don't need to read or worry too much about that. You probably won't be able to see it. But in essence, the rundown here are our operational stakeholders. So my team, if you like, interacted with all these people. IT are there, security are there, our training people are there, and so it goes on. Now, we needed to talk to all these people to find out what they wanted from the building and whether we could or could not deliver it. So there's a whole host of things going on at a very early stage. The business, to talk about a vision, to take that vision to work with the designers and come up with something, and start engaging with our people. And having done all of that, and having seen the photographs before as to what life was like, what did KPMG come up with for Project Goal, 15 Canada Square? We came up with almost exactly the same, to a degree. We came up with open plan space, people being identified in their boxes, and as you can see on the right-hand side, 28,000 footprints, and a lot of boxes. So what on earth have we managed to achieve? Well, there is a huge plus factor which needs to be brought on board with what the guys achieved, what my team achieved and the people involved. The building is made up of a whole host of different areas, not solely the office areas where guys are based, and this is where we actually believe we have added value from our organisation, with organisation of the project itself. We have a number of what we call cassette atria and pocket atria. So they're central areas. There are 4 sets of these every 3 floors, and the business is built around these areas. They're connected by stairs. They have a base to each of them, and it's all about collaboration. They have a whole host of different seating areas, booths, boxes, but they're quite open, call them the goldfish bowls, and just general seating areas, where the Y generation, if that's what we want to call them, the coffee culture, it isn't just the Y generation, everybody's using them of all ages. They're coming down and people are having meetings here, and people are collaborating, and it's working. It's incredible to see it, and it's a delight for me to have been involved with it. But there are different areas where people are prepared to go and work. 430 extra seats. So we don't need people to be sitting at their desks all the time. It just isn't necessary. We've also got a 5th floor. Quite often previously, we've done it. I don't know if the other guys have done it. I'm sure some of your firms. Our document production centre and other back of office, back of house, if you like, they were put in the basement or they were put off site somewhere else. We've got them on the 5th floor. We have a transition floor where we have a staff restaurant, which is doing almost 2,000 covers a day. Extremely successful. We've got a faith and contemplation rooms and a health suite. So Nuffield are employed and people go and have their health checks there. And the 5th floor is central. It's almost the heart of the building. I mentioned the clients early days. KPMG obviously put their clients first in relation to a lot of the space in terms of standard and specification and what they will expect from coming to a visit from KPMG. And we have a business floor, so we have dedicated floor facilities, an entrance area, which is important, But we wanted to make it vibrant, not quiet and silent. We've got a coffee bar down there, and people can access that to have informal meetings as well as the formal meetings on the first floor. And we have meeting rooms and other breakout spaces scattered around the building. These are some of them are non-bookable. We have quiet spaces that people can go to if they've got to take an immediate ad hoc phone call or private message. But there are other breakout areas that people can go to, all sadly, I've got to say, being overused to a degree. It's incredible the way people have taken to them. And I think it is really important. It got mentioned again. I don't think this is a generation thing. I think people, yes, they liked their offices years ago. In the UK, believe me, I think there are some people from Europe here interested to see hear some of their thoughts. But actually, the UK, I believe, lead the way in so much as people are prepared to work in any space. It's that space works rightly for them. Wi-Fi was mentioned. The building is Wi-Fi'd entirely. We like to try and keep people to use it only in the atria areas because we just don't want to overload the systems. Whether that's right or not, maybe Dave can tell us. But certainly we try and keep to that. It was an issue for one point. Security was telling us, no, you can't have it Wi-Fi because people will be able to get into the KPMG information. That needs to be challenged and reviewed, and we were able to go through that, and we've provided Wi-Fi throughout. And then finally, sustainability, the environmental angle. This building has already won awards that we're delighted with. At the time, it got a BREEAM excellent rating. Paul will explain how that's moved on, I'm sure. We've got tri-generation, we've got grey water recycling. We've got 200 bicycle racks with showers, proper showers, not tucked away showers in a small corner. These are proper shower facilities as you get in a leisure centre of sorts. In fact, I think Boris Johnson is cycling there today because that's one of the problems with Canary Walk. How do you cycle there? But Boris is there today. And we're very proud of our credentials with regard to the environmental side. So how did we achieve that? And this is my last slide because I'm conscious of time. We achieved it mainly driven by team, an acronym I mentioned earlier in the governance. It's made up of 3 parts, 3 really central important parts. But time. Now we've got a problem, we've got a dichotomy almost with regard to things like IT and the development and the 2 difficult box that property has. It's a slow burner in from a lot of aspects. But if you do have the time and you can make the time and you can plan your property strategy against what you want, you can be creative. You can work with your designers and come up with the right space. It's so important the way that things are changing, and when you've got a war on talent, you need to provide creative areas. Time also gives you the opportunity to challenge people, challenge internal and external. Is it the right thing? Because cost is an important factor. Experience, absolutely important. We had a lot of internal people that were skilled, and we worked with them in collaboration with others. And some of those internal people championed certain causes and certain requirements. The 5th floor is an example of that. We had senior support that we didn't want to put people in the basement. It's really important for us to understand that from a diversity perspective and from our CSR perspective and push these items, and people champion them. But absolutely, the external team was incredibly important. It was driven by the external team in terms of the initial designs and also implementing those with both Canary Wharf and ISG. Agile. The agility of the building is fantastic from our perspective. People can work and operate anywhere that they want. But agility in the project was important. We co-located the team, so the business, the operation and the external team all cohabited for about 18 months, 2 years of the project. So we actually had everybody working together. So people didn't go back to the home office or base office. They worked together, and we knew exactly what everybody was doing, and everybody could come and challenge and question and discuss items that concern them in the design or with any of the technology aspects. And finally, I'm afraid we can't get away from it with it being a firm of accountants, professional advisors in the financial industry, money. This was a very expensive exercise for KPMG. We're delighted with what we've got. It would be ridiculous for me to say that open checkbook, that shouldn't happen. But what I would say is if you time these issues in terms of